Good evening, Roadrunner families and scholars. Looking forward to seeing everybody back here to school again for the 2021-2022 school year. My name is Mike Blomquist. I'm the principal at Casumas River Elementary School, and it's my pleasure to welcome you back to our back to school night festivities, which will be held right after this. You may even be watching me after you've gone to that. This will be available on our blog and our school website, so you can watch it whenever you like. But first, I want to welcome all of you back to what I know is going to be a great 2021-2022 school year. We are so excited to have our campus back full of students here 5 days a week, every day, with transportation, with lunch, with recess, with buses, but also with some safety precautions that I'm going to mention a little bit later on in our speech. I'll start with what we have. As I said, we have our full days, we have buses, we have lunches, we have K-Kids, we have Equity Council, we have other activities that we're going to be able to have our students involved in, as well as potentially in the future field trips and some other things, which right now we can start to think about, but need to get some further direction closer as to when the field trips would actually take place. So I want to first of all welcome you all back, let you know a little bit about the first couple days. Our school begins on Thursday, August 12th, and Friday, August 13th is the second day. Knowing that many of our students have not been fully on campus for quite a while, want to let you know that if you prefer, you may drive your child to school, park in our front parking lot, escort them across the crosswalk onto the campus, and even take them as far as their classroom door to make sure that you know that they know where they need to go. And we'll also have lots of people out there on the first couple of days assisting our road runners getting to the correct spots. Parents will not be allowed in classrooms at this time, however, but please feel free to come onto campus and make sure that your student understands the procedures for the first day of school. School begins every morning at 7:50, and that means at 7:45 our bell rings, which is the time that teachers escort their students from their lines in the back of the playground up to their classroom doors. So after we've safely gotten everybody in their line, that would be time to say goodbye to your son or daughter and say, see you after school, have a great day, as our teachers will then escort them up to the classrooms, and you can be on your way to enjoy the rest of your day, and then get home at night and ask your kids, how was the first day? How was the first day? So we will be allowing for that access onto the playground for the first 2 days, onto the campus, I'm sorry, the 12th and the 13th. And then if you do drive your child to school, it will be either you may park and escort them to the front gate, where they then head on their way onto the campus, or you can pull up into the front as we've done in the past and unload at the curb for the children to enter the campus as well. For those of you who did participate in the return to in-person learning last year, we are not having our cars move all the way around to the back of the building. All of our cars will go to the front area only. So for the first day or two of school, when more people I'm anticipating will be driving their children rather than using the bus, that'll be quite crowded. So please practice some patience there. But then once we get into the flow of things and people understand the routine, about 50 to 60% of our students take the bus at that point. So then the pickup and drop off will be much more reasonable. So picking up in the mornings, if you want to be here in time for breakfast, we'll have breakfast available in the cafeteria, but do remember that at 7:45, our students head off to class for a 7:50 start to the instructional day. So please plan accordingly in being here early enough for breakfast. If you want your children to be able to have a quick bite to eat, probably 7:30 is a good bet. There is no playground or recess type activity in the morning, so no need to arrive much earlier than 7:30, with the possible exception being that first day of school with the larger crowds. Pickup, for those of you who are picking up your children, will also be in the front rather than around the back. And we have kind of a unique situation here where our first day of school is a Thursday, and Thursday are our early out days. So dismissal on our first day of school will be at 1:20 for grades 1 through 6 and 11:10 for kinder and TK. Kinder and TK always have the same dismissal time. After that, dismissal at our school is 2:10. And that would be the time to start lining up to pick up the children. And then after the first couple of days, as we said, our bus lanes will be operating and picking up and dropping off students on the in the lane down by in front of the library, where students will enter in through the two first side gates. So I'd like to thank you in advance for your patience and cooperation on the first couple of days of school. As we get everybody situated for being back here at class. We are anxious to get fully back into our Roadrunner recognition programs like Roadrunner Scholars and Beep Beep Bucks and PBIS Awards assemblies and all of those other kinds of things where we are a golden lunchbox, where we are setting out and making sure to recognize students who are practicing good learning practices, being good Roadrunner Scholars by being respectful, responsible, and ready to learn. Our first 2 days of school, for the most part, we go back over all of the rules: playground, cafeteria, classrooms, pick up, drop off, riding buses, because we know it's been a while, and we got to reestablish those good routines and reestablish those good practices so that we know that and our kids can live up to them. We do have some safety things in place. As I already mentioned before, parents right now are not allowed in the classroom. That means we won't be able to have parent volunteers, which I know is something that Crest parents have always been such a good job helping out on. We hope that will return, but we will see, and we'll definitely keep you informed in that situation. Also, masks are required for all students and staff inside of buildings. So in the classrooms, library, computer lab, masking will be required for all students. So please make sure that you understand that and that you have your children ready with their masks. As conditions change, as they always do, we will definitely let you know. But right now, based on our recommendations from county and state health officials, masking indoors is recommended and is needed. Masks outdoors are optional at this time. Anyone can wear their mask at any time that makes them feel comfortable, and outdoors, that will be your option, whether you want to wear a mask or not. That's for children or students and adults at this time, regardless of vaccination status. The strong recommendation, however, is even when outside, if we are congregated together in large groups like pickup and drop off, that masks help protect and keep us safe from potential exposure. So keep that in mind. But as it is of now, it is recommended outside for times when there's a large group, but it is not mandatory. Mandatory in classrooms and inside buildings only at this time. We will be monitoring our children for potential symptoms. If any symptoms come up, well, first of all, what we do is what we always do, which was send them to the office to take a look, to talk to the nurse and talk about that tummy ache or whatever. But then we take a look and have a decision tree that suggests, is this something where it's a symptom, but it probably doesn't require any further work having to do with testing, or should we administer a rapid response test at this point, which the school will have access to. Rapid response testing is something that we require parent permission for. So if that situation were to ever come up, you'd be getting a call saying this is what, this is why, and then we'd get a form to you to fill out while we administer that rapid response test, which can give a response, whether positive or negative, for COVID in minutes, rather than having to wait for such a long time. That will be available for staff and students. And we hope that we don't have to use it, but we do have it available to us. If we did have a situation where we have a positive COVID test for a student, that student would be sent basically to their own physician or another medical agency for a follow-up test to confirm. But if that test is confirmed, then the child who has tested positive will be placed in 10-day quarantine. As long as no symptoms occur, they'd have a 10-day quarantine. Students who may have risked exposure to the child by being in that classroom will all be contacted. Exposure generally delineated as within 6 feet of the person for longer than 15 minutes. And students who potentially were exposed to someone with the positive test will be placed on what's called modified quarantine, which generally means they are allowed to continue to attend school as long as they don't experience symptoms of their own, and then would be rapid tested twice a week to make sure, until the quarantine period is over. Parents always have the option to keep their child at home for quarantine if they would not like their child to be rapid tested for COVID. But that's kind of our plan for right now. And we would follow a very similar process if we have any adults on campus who are positive as well. So we gather that information and we turn it over to our COVID response team. And then they reach out to everyone who's been involved and direct me as to what our next step is, which generally means notification of all families of any incident that had taken place at school. With that said, things change rapidly. We'll try to keep you informed, but if you have any comment, if you have any questions about anything, please feel free to call me here at school so that I can answer any specific questions or any follow-up questions that you might have. We will be maximizing distancing in the classrooms, which means we keep the desks as far apart as possible, and at lunchtime. So we'll be basically utilizing our entire cafeteria all spread out and housing about 7 students at each table. Tables generally in the past could house up to 15 or 16 students. So we'll be spacing them all out. We will have some seating charts in the cafeteria. And most importantly, we're going to try to keep the eating portion of our lunchtime as minimal as possible. And if we can get to 14 minutes and 30 seconds while the students still all have time to eat, that'd be great, because then that would mitigate the number of students that we may have to modify a quarantine for if we did have a positive. And I don't mean to say all this to scare anybody. I'm hoping we are talking about something we never need to use, but at the same time, we are prepared for whatever comes our way. So with that said, I'm going to wrap it up here for you tonight and say that I hope that if you are on your way to your class, that you enjoy your evening and that's informative. And I hope that you are excited to return to school, Roadrunners, and parents. I hope you're excited to have them back here too, because we are as well. Can't wait to see you on Thursday. And with that, I'd like to say have a wonderful evening, everybody. Thank you.